Hey guys, Greg here from LensProToGo, and today I'm going to be covering the inverse square law. I'm going to quickly show you the math that goes into it for calculating it while you're on set, and then I'll show you some practical uses of how you can use it to affect the look and feel of your video. So let's get started. So the inverse square law states that the intensity is equal to 1 over the distance squared. Now, how we can look at that is we have a light set up here, and then we have our first subject 3 feet away. We're going to consider this at 100% power. Now what this states is that if we double the distance, so if we go from 3 feet to 6 feet, we're doubling the distance, so it's going to be 1 over 2 squared, which is equal to 1/4. So every time we double the distance, we will have 1/4 the amount of intensity. So we went from 3 feet to 6 feet. We're going from 100% to 1/4 of that, which is 25%. Now, if we keep going on this, so we're doubling from 6 feet to 12 feet, again, we're going to be doubling, so we're going to be the 1 over 2 squared, or 1/4. We're going to be doubling distance from 6 feet to 12 feet, and we're going to be at 1/4 the power of 25%. How we can figure that out is we're going to do 1/4 times 1/4, and that will equal 1/16. So we are at 1/16th power on this subject here than we are at 100% on our first subject. And that equates to a 6.25% of subject 1. We're going to double the distance again from 12 feet to 24 feet. We're going to be doubling distance, so we need to have 1/4 the amount of light. So we'll have 1/4 times 1/16 that we have on subject 3. And that's going to be equal to 1/64th the amount of light that's on subject number 4 compared to our first subject. 1/64th equates to about 1.56% of the light that's on subject number 1. Now this isn't too useful when you're on set, so I'm going to give you a quick look at the f-stops and how you calculate that. Because every time we double it, we're at 1/4 the amount of light, that's going to equate to 2 stops of difference. So say we are properly exposed at f22 on our first subject. When we double that distance, we need to go down by 2 stops, and that's going to leave us at an f11 on our second subject. Now, if we double that distance again, we're going down 1/4 the amount of light, so we're going to be going down 2 stops, and that is going to leave us at an f5.6. One more time, we're going to double the distance again. So we're going from a 5.6 down 2 stops, and that's going to leave us at an f2.8. So if we wanted to get the same exposure as subject 1 and subject 2, we would need to expose at an f2.8 on this subject, and we would need to expose at an f22 on our first subject. Now let's take a quick look at the practical uses of the inverse square law. So say we're doing an interview and we want to have a very contrasty scene. We can put the light really close. So this light is placed just outside of frame right, and it's coming in and we're getting a lot of really dark shadows on her face. The background's falling off. It's very contrasty and very dark, and you can bring out some emotion with this. But say the client wants us to have a very brightly lit, happy interview. With this same light, just by moving it back and turning up the brightness or adjusting your exposure if you don't have a dimmable light, you can turn something that looks like this into something that looks like this. And all I've done is move the light back 3 or 4 feet. And I've decreased the contrast on her face, lifting some of these shadows. I'm bringing up the background a lot, so if there's something in the background you wanted to see, like a company logo, you could brighten that up. And all I've done here is move that light back a few feet. I have another example here that you can use for more of a narrative or storytelling. So say we have this woman here who's just walking in the garage. She just got done with a yoga class or something, and we have this character in the back walking. He looks a little suspicious, but he doesn't quite have the menacing feel that we want him to have. He just looks like another character walking through the scene. Or maybe we want to draw a little more attention to her and kind of not as much attention to him. So I have this first light placed really far away, so that's illuminating both of them pretty evenly. Obviously, he's a little darker in the back here, but what we can do to really bring that separation and add the contrast to the scene is we can bring that light really close. So all I've done again is I've just moved that light that was probably 20 feet away. I've moved it right outside of the frame. So she's keeping the same exposure, but he has fallen off into this darkness. Now he's starting to be a little more creepy, and we're kind of wondering what he's doing back there because he doesn't just look like another subject in the scene. Here's the BTS of this. So this is that first shot where it's brightly lit. Both of them are exposed pretty well. And then here is the BTS of the second shot where the light is right outside the frame. You can't see any of the parking garage. And that's what's giving us this really contrasted look. The last way I'm going to talk about using the inverse square law is for when you're lighting products. Now, you can see here I have these whiskey bottles all lit up, and I really like how this shot looks. Maybe the client doesn't, or maybe they want a little bit more light on this last bottle right here. So one way we can do that is to change the exposure or brighten up the light to give that last bottle some brightness. So here's what happens when I open up the exposure or I brighten up that light. We are getting really nice exposure over here. We're also brightening up the background a little bit. All around, we're lightening up a little bit under this table, but now this bottle here, and even the table, is starting to be overexposed and blown out. Now, I haven't moved the light from that first one. All I've done is brighten up the intensity. Now, if I keep this intensity and I move the light farther away, we can get something that looks like this. This is a really nice, clean shot, pretty much the same exposure from both sides. And all I've done is move that light back a few feet. I'm getting a little more exposure on the background and again under the table, but nothing is overexposed and everything is exposed properly. That's all I have for you guys today. If you have any questions on the inverse square law or anything else you want me to cover, leave a comment below. And also don't forget to subscribe and like and stay tuned for more videos like this to come. Thanks for watching.